Hello and welcome back to the Career Cravings podcast. I am so excited you're here. And today we are going to be catching up. We're going to be chit-chatting. It's going to be a very different type of episode because there have been so many exciting and crazy and wild things that have been going on in life and business. And I thought it's definitely time for a little sit down, little chit chat. So grab your coffee. I have my coffee here. So pretend you are sitting on my couch in my living room with me. We are friends, just kind of catching up. If you follow me on social media, you would have seen that I recently went to Hawaii with my husband to celebrate his 40th birthday and our wedding anniversary. And it was an incredible trip, but I walked away with a ton of insights. And I want to take you behind the scenes of what's been happening before, during, and after, because this trip completely reframed how I think about creating a life and a career that you're completely obsessed with. So it's going to be a little bit of a chit chat. Get ready and let's dive in. Hey, it's Irina Pozan and welcome back to the Career Cravings podcast. This podcast has a simple mission. It's to help ambitious professionals like you build the career and life that you've been craving. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as an HR leader, designed hiring systems, led recruitment teams, and I've sat on the other side of the hiring table. I've seen what works in today's job market, what doesn't, and what separates those good candidates from the ones that actually land their dream roles. Now I'm bringing everything I've learned straight to you. Each episode is packed with actionable insights and tools to help you land your dream role sooner. Now let's dive in. So where do I even begin? October was freaking wild. Okay, let's just start there. So we started with Hawaii, which is an absolute dream. I'm going to share so much more about that. If you have never been, you're definitely going to be adding it to your bucket list. And then 5 days later, after we got back, my husband and I went to Vegas for an exciting project that I'm excited to share with you in the next couple episodes. And then also, at the end of the month, I went on a business retreat, which also I'm going to be breaking that down in detail because, again, life has been lifing. It's been a whirlwind. It's been so exciting, so amazing. Some wild things happen, and it taught me a lot of lessons and takeaways that I wanted to bring here. So we left the end of September and we spent the first bit of October there as well, which was amazing. And typically, like if I look at last summer is a season where I love to pull back. I'm not hosting events, preparing really for the fall. That is what has happened in previous years. I'm really focused on delivering and coaching my clients and building things in the background to come for the fall. So it's a more flexible season typically. And completely unintentionally, this was not my plan. I'm someone who really plans in advance. I am not someone who likes to pack the summer with a million things. So summer, we have our pool open. We love to spend it in our neighborhood with our friends and just creating those family memories locally, doing a couple trips here and there. But otherwise, it's like a slower pace. And I know that so many people that I speak to do the same thing. This is where a lot of people are taking holiday. It's usually a slower time for job search and all of that good stuff. I have to say, I'm just taking a breath now because this summer was like the speed up after a really busy season. So it was like I hosted 5 events in 5 weeks. I was on multiple stages that kind of came up organically that weren't planned super far in advance. I threw my event, Career Cravings Live this summer, which I only planned in 4 weeks. I completely not planned to do it in August. So it was a really surprising change of pace. And Hawaii was that time that we were going to intentionally create those memories as a family, slow down and spend that time together, which is one of the huge values that I have. We planned a trip for Hawaii to celebrate my husband's 40th. So my husband is not someone who wants an extravagant party or anything like that, but I was like, this is not optional. We are definitely going away somewhere. And we kind of toyed with, do we go to Costa Rica? Do we try a new place? And in the end, we chose Maui, which is literally our favorite place in the world. Definitely hands down my husband's favorite place in the entire world. And I'm like, what better than to spend it in a place that we both love? Now, we kind of toyed with this because To be honest, I felt a little guilty going back to the same place for the third time because there are so many places in the world that I want to see that I haven't discovered yet. And thinking like, we know we love it so much. And like, it's likely that nothing else will compare. But we made the decision that we will go back. So if you were following along since last year, we actually went for 2 weeks to Maui. We brought my mom. We celebrated my husband's 39th birthday that year and our 11-year wedding anniversary. And it was like an absolute dream trip. I was so glad to and fortunate enough to be able to bring my mom to a place that she's never seen before. It was just amazing. And this year when we were deciding, we're like, we just have to go. Last time, we'll try to hold off and not go back for like 5 years if possible. But the whole resort, the place itself is so magical, and I can't wait to break that down as well and what we actually did there. So keep in mind, like leading up to the event, I had a big launch. I had a live event that happened September 11th. And, you know, that was coming off the heels of like 4 other events. And there was just so much happening. And then we book the trip. We decide we're like, okay, this will be the time where I also made, by the way, the biggest hire within my business as well. Someone who's the most senior, you know, it's been incredible, but there's been just so much going on the business side, which is all exciting and amazing. But, you know, the balance is super important. And I thought the summer season would be that, and it just completely wasn't. Anyway, so then coming into the fall season, we also, for the first time, put my son in hockey, which is a whole huge commitment we've never had before. It's like all weekend, like 7:30 in the morning on Sunday, Saturday. It's like a whole thing. He's going to have games, which is really exciting. We were actually getting into this like hockey mom kind of hockey family era, which is really cool. I used to look at those families, by the way, and be like, oh my goodness, why would they give up all of their free time to just drive their kids around to sports? And I'm like, oh my goodness, we literally intentionally did that by design. Life is really interesting. And then we also had been spending time having my son try out for rep baseball, like a more competitive baseball season where he would be training all winter long, starting from November, going into like pretty much all year of baseball and traveling. And you could be going to the US and you could be kind of going all over. And these tryouts were really, really intense. There were like 7 nights of them through this like era of me hosting these big events where literally thousands of people have registered. And it was a lot. And all I kept thinking about was when I'm sitting on the beach in Maui, it's going to be so relaxing. 48 hours before we leave, I'm not even packed yet because so much is going on. My son comes home from school and he's like, my arm hurts, my wrist hurts. And he's not someone who complains ever. And we were in the second last night of tryouts for baseball. And this like sounds completely ridiculous. We bought him like a $400 bat, like top of the line. We bought him all this new gear because he had literally outgrown everything from his like glove, everything. We bought all this stuff, let alone all of the stuff we needed for hockey, which is, by the way, incredibly mind-numbingly expensive to put your kids in these things. And we're in the second last night of tryouts. So he literally has just one more night where they're going to make the decision on whether or not he makes this team. And it's his dream. Like he's been talking about, he's like, I need to be in the Blue Jays. And like, we're like, okay, we're going to support you in making this happen. Like not the Blue Jays, but we're going to like take this baseball thing more seriously. And it's a really big night because he had actually been not selected for another team he really wanted to be on. That was like AAA. Anyway, if you don't know kind of the levels, it starts from like regular baseball and then it goes to select and then AA and single A and then AAA. Like it's a whole thing. So he tried out for like the best team locally and did not make it. And it was heartbreaking for all of us. Like I almost cried. Anyways, he comes home. He says his arm hurts. We take him to the freaking hospital. Guess what? It is a broken. And literally he's in tears because he now knows he's definitely not going to make this team at this point because he can't try out. They literally were going to try to see him bat and throw, and he can't do any of that with a broken arm. And as luck would have it, also, we're sitting there and they say that he cannot swim. They're just like, okay, just don't get it wet. And then he's like bawling because he's like, okay, well, probably not going to go to Hawaii at this point, and it's like 2 days away. And it was so stressful. There's we stayed at the Four Seasons, which incredible. Like we went there last year as well. And on our honeymoon as well, which I'm going to break down, but incredible hotel. You can literally text them about anything and they're so kind. They like text you ahead of your trip and they're like, how old is your son now? We're creating his like welcome gifts and like all of this extra attention. They're like, just confirming, Miss Posan, that your son is now 8 when last year he was 7. Like so much attention to detail. So we're texting them, finding out what it would look like to literally cancel our trip at this point. And I was like, we are going, like, no matter what. Anyways, by the end of it, the hospital agrees to give him a dry cast and a wet cast, which he can, like, trade off because it's a fracture. And in the end, he can go swimming. We bought all these things to ensure he can go swimming. In the end, we did end up going just as planned. And it was a really stressful way to start the trip. But I am so, so glad we went because it was absolutely exactly what we needed in the middle of like complete chaos. So we have been fortunate enough to be traveling for the last 18 months, every single month. So literally every month we have gone somewhere. They're within Canada or the US, and we have been doing that consistently for a long time. And it's been amazing because I love to create and be in coaching and business and work on all of the things that I get to work on. I feel so grateful. And I'm also so grateful that I have the freedom to work from literally anywhere in the world. And that is something that is so, so invaluable to me. And that was one of the things where in corporate, it did feel extremely suffocating because I knew that I don't have that flexibility. Like, even though I had 4 weeks of vacation, it was different. And yes, you could work from other places, but like not really. And it was really frowned upon. So, so grateful for that. And so one of the things that we really wanted from this family trip was to really slow down. And a beach vacation is just that. Like, I love going to Europe and I love visiting, and we're going to be doing a lot more of that. But that is very like go, go, go in a different way. And it's still super inspiring to me. But it is almost like you get back tired as well. So it's like one of those. Anyways, so we had decided to go back to the Four Seasons. Now, I will say this is where they filmed The White Lotus, if you're familiar with the show. If you've ever watched it, the first season was actually filmed at this exact hotel. So all of the shows are actually filmed on a Four Seasons property. But that first one, if you've ever watched it with that crazy infinity pool, it's just like, it is literally heaven on earth. So incredible property. We have seen all of like the 5-star kind of beautiful hotels in Maui just from like driving around and exploring and like being there now for the 3rd time in the different areas. I will say this one is located in the most beautiful spot on the most beautiful beach with the best sunset view. Like, it is literally the best. And Maui, in my opinion, is one of the best places in the entire world. There is nothing like it. There are literally fresh flowers that like you would see nowhere else that are so beautiful, just blooming everywhere in the bushes and the trees. And there is just something really magical. There's volcanic rock. It just looks so different than any other place. And the waves. So my son and husband are completely obsessed with surfing huge waves. And of course, not ideal with a broken arm, but completely obsessed. For me, like, I love Turks and Caicos. I love the calm waters where I'm like on a floaty or just like chilling, relaxing. That is my vibe. But the boys love what they love. And to be honest, most of that, when I really dug down and I'm like, why are they obsessed with these waves so much? And I'd prefer for it to be calmer. Like the beach that we had right at the hotel was the calmest, like within Maui. But there are areas like Jaws on the North Shore where it's like literally 10-foot waves. It's just crazy, right? They're so known for that surfing culture, which is probably why you've noticed, like, we've gone to California 3 times in the last year. Like, love, love, love those waves for the boys. And when I really realized why am I that mom that's like, don't like splash me. I don't want the big waves. When I really thought about it, I'm literally embarrassed to admit this, but it came down to my hair. So wetting my hair would mean, so if I am plummeted by waves all day, every day, What that means is it's going to take like 2 hours to dry my hair afterwards when we get to the hotel. And I don't want to spend my time. It's like the most ridiculous and vain thing. I don't want to spend my time with a blow dryer for 2 hours. So, for my girlies that are listening, you may know what I'm talking about. But for me, I have a huge frizzy amount of massive hair. So, my hair, unless I am spending a lot of intimate time with a blow dryer, it dries. And if you're watching the video, you'll see I'm rocking my Maui curls right now. But unless I am styling it, it will dry completely crazy. And to be honest, for years, I never just let my hair air dry. I have the air wrap, which I love and I always use. But I'm always like, after I take a bath, I am like literally blow drying my hair. And on vacation, I just don't want to spend my time doing this. So I was always that person that's like, no, not right now. Like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be doing this. And when I realized that, I'm like, that is the dumbest thing. And sometimes it takes that awareness. And I'm like, I am not spending any time on this trip blow drying my hair. Zero. I did not bring any hot tools. And this is a huge liberating shift for me. If you don't have hair like mine, where it's like huge and curly and frizzy and takes just like a lot of effort, then you won't know what I'm talking about. Like, I have friends that literally just let their hair air dry and it's like perfectly straight and it just looks like the way mine does when I blow dry it. That is not the case here. And if you guys have ever been to an event and we've met live, my sister was probably with me. And if you've met my sister, you will know she has hair, like stunning, huge curly hair down to her butt. Like, when she sits down, she's sitting on her hair. Like, she has to move it. It is stunning because she doesn't use hot tools. Once a quarter, she'll straighten it, but otherwise she's letting it air dry. And I'm like, I am doing that. That is the life I'm going to live in Maui, no matter what it looks like, right? And here's what happened. So we get to Maui and I'm like, I'm embracing the waves. We had the best time. So there was one day where we were on a calm beach, but the waves there, I forget what it's called now. I should have probably looked it up, but it's like a cross wave where there were two waves basically happening, one from the left, one from the right, and they're like hitting each other. And what basically happens, it creates this motion where you don't know where the wave is going to hit you from. It was hitting me from the back, the side, and the front. Like, it was completely insane. So you would be like standing there and then like one huge wave just hits you in the right ear. And then like there's a cross wave that happens from the other side where usually, you're in the ocean and the waves are coming in like a rolling pattern that's predictable where it's like 1, 2, 3, and like they keep coming from the same direction. And it was just the best time. And we were laughing and the water was like, I think I ate so much salt water, I didn't even know what to do with it. But all to say, we get back and I'm like, we're just letting this air dry. And I went and I bought some products. Like, locally, we did a huge shop at the local store and I just bought a whole bunch of random hair products. And I'm like, we are letting this air dry because I'm spending zero time on this vacation, my very valuable time where I could be relaxing, like in the bathroom drying my hair. That is completely ridiculous. And guess what happened? Every single place we went, I never get this. After I spend hours blow drying my hair, every single place we went, someone is like, oh my goodness, I love your hair. What did you do to it? How did you dry it? Like, what are you doing here? And literally, I was breaking it down from multiple servers that kept asking about it. And the funny thing is, after I had posted my Hawaii pictures, that is the thing that I got the most comments on from you guys in DMs. People are asking, like, is that your natural hair type? Like, what is going on here? So all to say, I am so glad that I let loose more than I typically do. And I really just enjoyed that moment. And also it taught me that I love my natural hair curly. And you're going to be seeing a lot of it. Like, all of the November podcasts, you're going to see it. And it's something I brought back with me. So funny thing is, I get back, I go to the gym where I always go. And then again, I'm getting more compliments than I ever do. People are like, oh my goodness, I never see you with your hair down. I see you on Instagram, but like, I love your hair like this. Growing up, I had been always so ashamed that my hair was frizzy and it looked different than everyone else's. And I would do all of these things, from like straightening it with literally an iron, like everything to hide it, which is so damaging. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be healthier. And I'm in my curly girl era. Okay. So that is one of the big shifts that have happened unintentionally in Hawaii. And The other thing that I'll say is I always take this away on vacations. So the flight is 12 hours each way, which is 24 hours of flying. And within those 24 hours, I was the most creative working. You guys already probably know I love working on planes because I talk about that so much because there are no distractions. You're really just like focused. But that quiet solitude type of trip where you don't have a million things planned. Like I remember checking in and the concierge is so amazing. And they're like, okay, this time around, like, what are the things you want to do? Because last time we had all of these excursions and even down to reservations for dinner. And we're like, we don't like have anything. And they're like, what? What's going on? And it was such a different itinerary. I mean, we ended up doing a million things. But what that solitude and quiet ended up doing was putting me in this most creative energy. And we can't tap into that when we are so busy, when every single moment is planned. And the quiet vacation creates a quiet mind, which I'm completely obsessed with. So that solitude, sometimes you just need that to get into that most creative energy. And I know I've been teasing that I'm working on a big project that I haven't shared with you yet. I'm actually going to be sharing and breaking that down on the 50th episode of the podcast as a celebration. So stay tuned for that. But I was working on this project, like completely obsessed for 12 hours straight, literally. Surprise! I have a big announcement and I would love to invite you to a special event that I'm hosting this month on November 13th. It is a live Q&A call with me where you can join for free and ask me any of your job search questions. So if you're someone who's looking for your next opportunity right now and you've wanted my advice, that's why you're listening into the podcast, then I cannot wait to support you. You can swipe up in the show notes and save your seat for free to join my Q&A call and get some free coaching from me. I can't wait to see you there. So what I want you to take away, if you haven't had time recently to really quiet the mind, you would be surprised what comes up when you get that solitude. And you don't have to go away on this amazing vacation to do that. It's just sometimes I take a day anywhere. You could do that by the pool. You could do that anywhere to really unwind with a journal, and highly, highly, highly recommend that. This episode is so different than the way that I typically record. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what that looks like for you and how you're enjoying it. But I typically have a lot more structure. And today we're letting it flow like carefree wave in Maui. We originally fell in love with the island 12 years ago when we went there for our honeymoon. And on that trip, our minds were blown. We had never been somewhere so far away together at that point ever yet. And it is really, really far from Toronto, obviously, the 12-hour flight. And our minds were just blown. And we had the best honeymoon there ever. We stayed on one island. We were only on Maui. I'd love to explore other Hawaiian islands, but that was where we spent all of our time because, again, we didn't want to spend a lot of time like in transfers and like getting on planes and all of that, even though we were there for 2 weeks that first trip. But I remember one thing that I want to mention about this hotel is like we stayed at 3 different properties. And when we got to this one, the Four Seasons where we stayed all 3 times, that first time that I walked through this hotel, so we were, I guess, I was 25 years old. So this 12 years ago. The first time I walked through that hotel, I do have to say, I felt like this has been literally the nicest place I'd probably ever been to. And we couldn't stay there the whole time. We couldn't afford to stay there the whole time at the time. And walking through, I felt like a complete imposter. Like someone's going to find out that I don't belong here. They're literally going to kick us out. And I remember even taking pictures like by the fountain and just thinking like, oh my goodness, we don't belong. And I remember on that trip, there was someone famous. Now I don't even remember who it was, but my husband spotted him and he was in the hot tub, like right next to where we were taking pictures. And it just felt like so crunchy. It felt like, not comfortable, not like a place that we had belonged. And now it's so interesting how you grow and you evolve and you elevate your self-worth and what you think about yourself. And growing up, I had never been in any places that looked anything like this. Like we never traveled as a family. That wasn't something like I came from an immigrant family. We never had any extra money. There was definitely none of that happening. And our trips were visiting Florida, like taking my dad's van and driving out to Florida every year. And that's what we used to do. So it was a really different time. So I never really had those experiences until later in life. And like experiencing that for the first time, even just being there for a day on our honeymoon, we were like, we don't belong. This feels out of place. And I used to have this feeling come up, like even walking through luxury stores, just because the exposure was never there previously. So I will say that, coming back the second time and the third time and actually spending weeks there and just being able to do that comfortably and just feeling at home. Like when we came, they literally said, "Welcome home." We're like, yes, we are home. And it just feeling so comfortable. So that evolution was a huge takeaway for me too. For me, the environment is really important. I have now designed an environment in my home and all aspects of my life that I truly love to be around. And the environment to me, I know everyone's different, but it really affects my energy and the way that I showed up. Like I love everything to be organized. I love my house to be cleaned like every single week. And, that is how I like to operate. And when we designed all of the furniture in this house, it's created with a ton of attention. And I feel so fortunate to be able to do that because that was never the case. It was never the case with our first house either. But the environment really matters. So being in these beautiful spaces with even just the way the furniture is laid out and it's all open air with all of the flowers, it just brings me so much peace. It's just so different from almost it being shocking the first time we went to now just feeling like it's home, feeling so comfortable and it becoming the norm. So these experiences that we put ourselves in really elevate the way we see ourselves and our self-worth, and just being able to create those experiences. I left with so much gratitude because I know it's not normal. I don't take it for granted. I know that we literally stayed in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And to do that 2 years in a row and just love it has been something I am so grateful for. If you have never been to Maui, I'll just name like one highlight. It is so magical. At the airport, picked up our Jeep. So we had an open air Jeep, which is so amazing. It's such a dream. I had my curly hair, just like that's another thing. Typically, I don't want all the windows down, especially if it's humid, because then I'm going to look like a literal lion. Okay. And this time I just embraced it and loved it and ended up loving it more. And it changed kind of my daily routine now. But anyway, we pick up this Jeep, has no top. We're just like driving around it. It was amazing. We had it for the whole trip and we were just exploring different parts of the island that we've never even been to. There's so much to do in Maui. And that's why that was the Hawaiian island we always chose. And there's this one experience that's called the Road to Hana. And the Road to Hana is literally something that is like unlike anything else in the world. It is a spiral, like death trap, where on one side you have a cliff where it's like literally the ocean. If you just take one like couple inches to one side, you're going to drop off. And then the other side is this huge mountain. And it is 64 kilometers, but that 64 kilometers takes like 4 hours to get through because there are so many waterfalls along the way. Also, the roads are like just like swerving in and out. There's also a ton of areas that are just one-way bridges and one-way roads, but it's a two-directional, they call it road, right? So there could be someone coming in oncoming traffic literally in your direction. And you have to be so careful to like honk and like watch and like stop and like really be super mindful. I would never be driving that road, to be honest. So grateful that we had the Jeep to do that. It feels like an off-boarding experience. And we've done that every trip since, but each time it's so different. We've stopped at different spots. We saw so many waterfalls and got out and like did some very intense hikes that probably shouldn't have been done with my son's broken arm or just with an 8-year-old in general, but it went amazing and we loved it. And it's something we're going to cherish forever. So I will say complete dream trip. Another thing about Maui is the sky and the stars and the sunsets are like, I don't know if you're closer. I don't know what the difference is, but it just looks like complete magic and highly recommend if you've never been. So that was a complete dream. And we just like celebrated and we went to incredible places to eat and just enjoyed it. So complete dream trip for all of us. It was amazing. So afterwards, coming home and like really taking in my thoughts about the trip, this is what I want to break down as a takeaway. I came back and Yes, there's a 6-hour time difference, so completely jet lagged, but I caught up right away with my clients, with my team. And of course, I'm looking at things while I'm gone as well, but it's just like a different energy to just be sitting at my desk as well and getting back to that routine. And I just felt so grateful. It really took me back to this reflection where like 5 years ago, I remember being on a dream trip and just thinking, like a dream trip for the time, and just thinking, no, we have to get back to like real life. And now I jumped into it just thinking, this is incredible. Like, this is literally a dream. I get to come off a dream vacation into my dream career. And we should truly all have that. Like, I cannot wait to record this podcast episode. I cannot wait to catch up with my clients and my team. I cannot wait to work on that project that I can't wait to share with you on the 50th episode. So I just felt so much gratitude for not feeling like I need to take a vacation from my life, where in the past that was a reality. And, coming off of a beautiful trip, like say we were in Portugal or Paris, or like coming back, it would be like almost like an escape when I think back. And it's just such a different energy now when you truly, truly love what you do. The week we got back, we had a meeting with our banker and we were just going through like our financial planning and all of that good stuff, and like planning even for business investments and things like that. And we are talking about all of the details. And one of the questions asked was like, well, what age do you want to retire? And I look at my husband, he's giving an actual number. I'm like, I never want to stop doing this. I'm like, not if it's like this. Like, I never want to stop doing this. And that's such a different, it surprised me because I wasn't expecting that question. And also my answer really surprised me because if you had asked me when like 5 years ago, before I was truly in like a role where I feel like I am in my purpose, and every day I'm grateful for that. And before that, I literally would be like, I hope we can retire at something ridiculous like 45. And planning for retirement at 45 is literally, it's just insane. I mean, they always say like that is when you retire, when you stop being in your purpose and your creativity, that's like literally people get sick and die because you have to be creating, you have to be aligned to what you love to do. And so I just came back completely surprised by my answer there. And also it had me just reflecting on all of the incredible things that happen when you create a life by design where you are literally obsessed with your career. And this is why we're all here. This is why I create these podcast episodes. I know lately I've been going deep into like tactics of landing a job, but you're going to start hearing a lot more about life and creating a life and career you are obsessed with and how to really design that intentionally, because it is what I am the most passionate about. So coming home feels just as good as going away on an incredible trip, because every day I truly love what I do. And coming home, like I was just so grateful, went to Pilates, caught up with everything. And I remember telling my husband, like, how lucky are we that this is normal? There used to be in my life a huge disparity between a great trip and my actual life. So it was like, oh, on vacation, I get to do this and this. And in my actual life, it looks different. And now I get to come home and like, I love my home just as much as the Four Seasons. Right? So creating a life that you are truly, truly obsessed with. And it is possible for all of us when we do this intentionally. So that was probably my biggest shift, my biggest realization. And that is exactly what I want for you too. I want you to have a life and a career you do not need to escape from in any way. You don't need to be counting down the hours till vacation. And that is true freedom. So what I learned along the way is that designing a life and a career that is aligned with your purpose and your creativity and gives you an outlet to really feel like you're making an impact, that doesn't happen by accident. And it wasn't something that I was even aware of or had, done the reflection on for the first decade of my career. And this wasn't a way, like the reason I'm so passionate about talking about this now is because I know now that there is a better way. I know that you can truly, like some people are like, yeah, I love what I do. And I remember I loved every role that I had, but this level of creating a life by design and truly creating a career that is intentional is so different. And I would never trade that for anything in the world. And I want you to stop and think about, what is your version of that? I remember years of waking up feeling exhausted and answering emails from bed with one eye open and like overthinking everything and feeling stressed. And coming home from vacation feeling stressed instead of excitement. And I would say that I loved my career, but I didn't truly feel it. I didn't truly embody it. And I feel like in the last 3-4 years doing this work, I have finally stepped into my purpose, my intention, my power. And that is how I feel like I can make the biggest impact in the world. And when you are aligned, it changes every moment of your life. And I used to have a vision for my future self. I don't know if you've done exercises like this before, where you envision what you'd love your life to look like. And by the way, we're going to do this together next on the last episode of this year, where we're going to talk about like not only goal setting, but vision boarding your life. So my future self, I used to envision that wakes up energized and inspired and like truly lit up about the impact that she's having in the world. And today I get to live that. And I'm sure it'll evolve and look different next year and like really look different 10 years from that. But I'd love for you to ask yourself, how would your future self start her day? What would she say yes to? What would she be doing on a day-to-day basis? And what would you say no to? And that's the thing, building your life, building your career in a way that you are obsessed with it and you are excited to jump out of bed in the morning and you're fueled and you feel fired up and you get that energy from what you do. That is when you start living as your future self now. And what I wish for you more than nothing else, if this isn't the case just yet, living today in the way that your future self would live and getting to design a career and a life that you are just so lit up by. So whether you're in a busy season or you are rebuilding your career or you're trying to build the life that you love, maybe you are going through a transition right now, the goal should never be to escape temporarily. It is to create something that you do not want to escape from. One that feels like the thing that you crave, the career that really, really lights you up, that you're excited to get back to, instead of thinking like, I gotta go to work Monday, or this trip is over, now it's back to reality, because that's when you know you've truly built a life and a career you're obsessed with. And I hope that you have enjoyed today's episode. I know it's really different than anything that we typically kind of do. It's very unstructured and we're just having a chit chat, but I would love to hear if this type of episode resonated with you, if we should do more of these. And leave a review, leave a comment, DM me, just let me know what you're thinking about this. If anything that I mentioned struck a chord or got you thinking a little bit differently. And remember that we don't just get to accidentally wake up in a dream role and a career that we're obsessed with. We have to design it intentionally. We have to take the steps to do that. Whether your passion is leading a team, working on projects that you're obsessed with, the way that I love what I'm working on right now as well, or land that first role that seems like a dream and really testing out what it is that you love to work on and what brings you joy, how you can have an impact on people. And I think one of the most meaningful things is actually creating a life where you get to make an impact in someone's life. I think that is the most meaningful thing. And I'd love for you to also stop and think about how you can do that today. I would love to leave you with some tough questions to think about. And if you have a journal handy, that would be so helpful. The first thing I want to ask you about is, what is the cost of nothing changing? What is the cost of staying exactly where you are right now? Is it feeling like you're not in your purpose yet? Or are you already living a life that you feel like you've intentionally designed? Or do you already feel like you've created a career and life intentionally by design, one that you are super lit up about? Which season are you in? And you can have both. So much has changed for me personally in the last couple of years. And I want this for you too. So we're going to dive a lot deeper on these types of topics in the future. And again, let me know, send me a DM, leave me a comment. I want to hear if this type of episode is resonating with you. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. See you soon. Hey, before you go, if you've enjoyed listening to today's show, I would love your support. please take a moment to leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And here's the exciting part. I'm running a special contest and giving away a one-on-one session with yours truly. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to me in my DMs. All of my contact info is in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to build the career and life that you've been craving together. See you next week.